All right, we're live. Hey guys. Wow, it didn't give me my little message, but now it did. Ted Bogert with the Ted Show. We've had a day. It's been a fascinating day, and what better way to end the day than with the one and only inspirational, motivational Kendra Davies with Stellar Life Coaching. Welcome back with our little series. How are you?
Hello, darling. I'm excellent. Excellent, excellent. Thanks for having me as always.
I love it. I love this topic. I love engaging with you and chit
Mm.
chatting. It's definitely Stacy just popped on and gave lots of hearts. It's a highlight, and I hate it when I don't get to do it, but it's almost 1,000 times you're patient. You picked this topic today.
I
It's
did.
one of my favorite topics. Gratitude. I am just a big believer in that. They don't understand the power of it. And so I'm hoping we can take a deep dive on that today. So
Yeah,
tell people a little bit about you before we dive in, just
sure.
in case some.
Excellent. So my name is Kendra Davies, and I am a positive psychology practitioner and a life coach, and I own Stellar Life Coaching here in Orlando. And I work with individuals, couples, businesses, leaders, small groups, host workshops and retreats, and I support people in identifying, defining, and cultivating their happiness. And I chose gratitude today as a topic, one, because I selfishly needed this topic. Yeah. And and I think that, if you consider the cycle of this pandemic and civil unrest and everything that's gone on, I feel like there's, at least for me, I'll speak for myself, it's easy to forget the things that are available to be grateful for. And there's so much loss and there's so much shit in the world right now. And it's easy to think that that is all that there is. And I think I am reminded, usually when I see my son, that there's always something. There's always something, and I just have to be willing to see it. I have to be willing to let it be enough. I have to be able to access that part of myself that has to be vulnerable, because I believe gratitude is a vulnerable expression,
Very
and
much so.
I need to be willing to access that vulnerability, even in the shit, even when things are hard, even when I don't believe I know the answers or can do what I'm tasked with doing, or when the world the shit I'm watching on Facebook and social media, these videos of people, it's easy to feel like there's a lack of humanity, and there is a little, but there's also so much good and in our lives and in the world. And
Well,
so,
that's why I don't. I mean, I watch it. Don't get me wrong, but that's why I'm not really a big media person, mainstream media, because I feel like mainstream media wants to do nothing but shove negative crap down your throat, and so then you begin to believe it, buy into it, and then it takes over. If you are fed negativity all the time, and there's no place for gratitude, then you're going to live, in my opinion, a negative life where you are constantly negative. I know people like this. I love people like this. Some of
yeah,
my friends in my world, I'm like, can you just for a minute be thankful for what you have instead of focusing
yeah,
on what you don't
yeah. And I think for me, with the people that I've worked with, whenever I talk about gratitude, it's always used to bypass pain or anger. Like, oh, well, my life could be worse. It's not as bad. I know my marriage isn't as bad as some people's. At least they didn't cheat, or I'm not being beat, and they use their gratitude to bypass their pain,
have. That's
right?
fascinating.
And I
Yeah.
feel like that does a great disservice, because, like you said, when we ingest the negativity, when we process our own experience as having to qualify as being bad enough to like cause discomfort or unrest,
Right.
um, it's like the pain Olympics. You know what I mean? Like, I don't get the gold, so I should just shut up and be grateful. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I find that for my clients that have struggled with gratitude practices, which is a regular thing that I suggest to people, for those who struggle with gratitude practices, that's usually what it is. You know, they try to use gratitude as a way to bypass their pain, and it won't work if that's what you're using.
I actually love that. I also think I agree. Like I'm sure I've done it, no doubt in my mind.
Mhm.
I also love the people, and since you brought up, I don't know if you brought it up, but in my brain you brought it up, cancer, because I've had people say, well, you know, my friend died of the same cancer, but at least you're still here.
Ooh, isn't that
No,
nice?
but I feel like people do that because they don't know how to express any kind of thanks, gratitude, positivity, and so they're gonna attach it to something that they think is gonna make you feel better. But in reality, like you said earlier, they have zero concept of how to be daily grateful and enmesh that in how you interact with the world and the universe.
And see, and I would say that those folks just don't know how to be with discomfort.
That's true.
You know, it's like when my mom died, I had a lot of people who did that. And, you know, she lived with cancer for 364 days. Like, she was a stubborn old bird.
God bless.
And
God
so,
bless her.
and I'm telling you, like, the shit that people say, and we all mean well, right? We all know it's well intended. But at the end of the day, when we don't know how to sit with discomfort, we say, but it could be worse. And you know what? When I found myself at rock bottom, it was me saying that to myself. You know what I mean? I'm at rock bottom. I've blown up my life. I've burned all the bridges. But damn it, it could be worse. Like, I need to keep my eye on the prize, right? There's a moment where it could be worse is appropriate, but it's for the self. It's not from the outside. Like, you telling me that my situation could be worse is very rarely helpful.
It's not, you know what? And so I usually do that in my head. I go, "Oh, bless your heart." You know, you have that moment where you're like, "Oh God, are you really that insensitive?" But you know they mean well. But I think it's also goes back to the base. So let's talk about gratitude. So I do gratitude every morning when I get up. I've talked about it on the show before. Sometimes I'm not in the mood. Sometimes I'm not feeling grateful, people. Sometimes I have no desire at all to say anything positive, but I force myself. Look, it's just part of it's the same reason why all of you people that join that CrossFit cult, you go to the cult every day. I love all of you. But I feel like we have to do these things, and these are the things that we do to prep ourselves, right? It's not all perfect. But there are people who tell me, I don't you or express that I was grateful.
Mm. You know, I think that I've had a gratitude practice was one of the first daily rituals I ever practiced for myself. And it was when I got sober. So, you know, thanking God for my sobriety and for another day where I'm not living under a bridge
Right?
and not addicted to drugs, right? Like, that was my initial gratitude practice. And I don't think it matters where you start. What matters to me is that you find the thing that works for you. And
Yes.
you know, we like to think that it has to look a certain way, but I mean, I've done over the years, my gratitude practice has gone from prayer and meditation to visualization exercises in the morning, like for 3 minutes, just visualizing gratitude for moments that have passed. I've done photo challenges where I just take pictures of things that I think are beautiful. When I was younger, I got sober initially when I was 14, and I started a list of things that are good. And it was like, I think I got to like 1,810 or something like that, right? So it's really just challenging yourself to find a way to express that gratitude. People who know me know that one of my favorite exercises to do with people is to ask them to write letters of gratitude. And I have a little format that I use that makes it more meaningful and influential. And being able to share those gratitude letters with the people who matter to you. I mean, it's unreal. It's such a
Why do we have, Kendra, why do you think we have trouble with that? I feel like I can't tell you how many times people have said, well, you know how I feel, or you know how grateful I am.
Mhm.
And I mean, there's part of me that does, but why do people have such a hard time expressing that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that ultimately gratitude is an expression of vulnerability. It's saying that you matter. And when you matter, that means that you have importance, you have influence, you can hurt me, you can, if you have the power to give me a thing, then that means that you have the power to take it away.
It's
Um,
true.
it is an act of vulnerability to give somebody credit for what they've done for you or on your behalf. I remember when I gave my speech at Rollins talking about the donors for the scholarship fund. Like, at the end of the day, Ted, no matter how hard I worked, I would never have been able to go to Rollins had
Correct.
I not gotten that scholarship.
Right.
And when I tell you that I was grateful for them, I mean, I cry when I think about how these folks could have put their money anywhere. And I was a high school dropout crackhead. And they were like, yeah, let's give her our money. You know what I mean? And then Rollins put me on a billboard. What? That's
But
crazy.
look at that. But you live your life. Obviously, we're not perfect guys, but we try to live our lives in a state of gratitude. I'm very thankful for where I'm at. I try to go there when I'm not feeling my best. I try to think of positive things, things that I'm grateful for. It doesn't mean that it's easy. And it doesn't mean that I'm in the mood for it sometimes. Like, I don't necessarily want to. Sometimes I just want to be pissed off or
Damn right.
hurt or angry. And nobody's saying that you shouldn't feel that way, but there's, for me, a way to get out of it is to focus on the things that I am grateful for, the people that I am grateful for, the things that I have that I'm grateful for.
Yeah.
But do I want to go down that path? No, I want to be pissed off at XYZ or hurt or whatever, but hurt, as people say. I want to be that, like any human being does.
Yeah.
But you have to figure out your best way to get out of that.
And I don't think that it's an either or. I don't think that you can't be angry and grateful, or hurt
Agreed.
and grateful, or disappointed and grateful. Like, you can be both. It's not an and or situation. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So I'm sorry, an either or. But I think to your point is that when we create the separation, like a lot of the times when people bring up gratitude in my normal sessions, it's always like, oh, well, I should be grateful.
Right.
And again, when we use gratitude as a way to bypass or to like somehow finagle or make it so our pain is invalid, that practice doesn't work. There is no fulfillment in it. So I'll have people who've been like, yeah, I read that book and I did Oprah's challenge. I did the 21-day gratitude challenge. I did all of that. And I really didn't feel a difference.
Didn't help me.
And when I talk to them more and I peel back the layers, what I find is that at the end of the day, some days you're just going to be grateful that, you didn't get hit by a bus.
Correct.
Or I'm just grateful that I could be angry and not have to drink today. Like, that's enough, right?
Correct.
And then there's other days where I'm like, holy shit, I've never considered electricity. Like, how grateful am I that I just flip this switch and the fucking lights turn on and I have no idea how it works.
Me either. But
Ted,
yes, I'm so thankful.
Ted, what is the cloud? What is the cloud?
I got nothing. I know what you mean. I think that people get like when people pray or meditate, they get so caught up in their minds. There's a right way to do it. It has to be this way, or the prayer is invalid, the meditation's invalid, the gratitude's invalid.
Yeah.
And so what I want to encourage people, like what you're saying, is sometimes you got to start at the basics.
Damn
well,
right.
I didn't crack the bed today.
Yeah.
I mean, there are basic things that you can say. Okay, then start there and build on it, because sometimes I have to do that. Okay, I'm breathing. Well, crap, I'm not feeling all great, but I'm still breathing. You got to start somewhere.
Yeah. And I think that if you want to kick it up a notch, right? Like, for me, a gratitude practice, I needed to create meaning, because I was one of these, like, I really wanted to look smart and not be smart. So my gratitude practice was like, oh yeah, watch me list out all of these things. These are awesome things. Look it. And the challenge was for everything that I said I was grateful for, I had to write out what made that thing possible.
Oh, I like that.
And when you do this practice, like electricity, for instance, like what goes into that? I have no idea. I don't even know how it works. But because it does, I'm able to run my business. You know what I mean? Because it does, I can navigate things by light.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I can go deeper. I could say I'm grateful. I remember when Jackson was first born, and I did this exercise. One of the things that I listed that I was grateful for, because I was a new mom with like a newborn baby. I was going to school full time. And I was like, I'm just grateful that I got to read a chapter of my book. And the three things that had to happen in order to make that possible were I had to have Ryan in my life, my son's father. Ryan had to agree to take the child away from me. And then I had to choose to take care of myself and do something that wasn't cleaning, prepping, or something for somebody else. Like I had to choose to do something for me. And it just takes this gratitude practice a step further and makes it more meaningful and powerful.
Agreed. All right, so let's give them some pointers, because I've talked about it on the show. You just mentioned it. I start my day that way, but a lot of people are like, well, God, do I have to write a novel? Remember, this is that perfectionism in the back of people's minds. Oh, God, well, Oprah had a gratitude journal. I better write out things that make me look good to Oprah instead of focusing on the gratitude. So give them some pointers, maybe where they can start fresh and start new and build on it.
Yeah. So, I mean, just like we've covered already, start a list of things that are good. You know, just like things that you think are beautiful. You know, my son's laughter. You know, granite countertops, minimalist decorating. You know, like it doesn't matter what it is. It can be completely fluffy and outside. What matters is that gratitude begets gratitude.
Correct.
In other words, if you decide that you're going to look at the world and find something beautiful, meaningful, powerful, and something to be grateful for, you're going to find it.
Yep.
And every day that you do it, you're going to find more of it. So what we're talking about now is merely just different ways to do it. So you have your list of things that are good. You could do a gratitude challenge with a friend, text each other 1 to 2 things that you're grateful for every day, right? For a while, Jackson and I would do gratitude at the end of the day. Like, what was your favorite part of the day? What did you learn?
Yes.
You could do gratitude around the table at dinner if that's one thing that you're grateful for the day. You can take pictures of things, post on Instagram. You don't even have to tell people. Just take pictures of things that you're grateful for. You can create a photo journal on your own in your phone, right? Create a new photo album and label it gratitude and just put those things in there. Did you go on that fishing trip? Did you ride that roller coaster? Did you eat funnel cake? Like, what is your jam? What are you grateful for? And then you can create it that way.
I think people need to not put so much pressure on themselves for making it perfect. It just because you say you're grateful for, I'm so grateful for world peace. Well, you know what? If that's what you're grateful for, good. I want you to start anywhere that you need to start, but you have to start, I think. And when you mentioned a list of things that are good, I've had people tell me that they can't think of something they're thankful for. So there's an exercise, which I'm sure you do because you're the pro. You've got to just continue to not dumb it down, narrow it down and bring it down and deep dive and get to something that they can recognize as something they're grateful for.
Well, and I think that, again, it's discernment, right? Like when I was at rock bottom, I didn't have anything to be really grateful for. Like the way traditional healthy human beings were looking at life. Like I didn't have that. I didn't have joy. I didn't have peace. I didn't have purpose. I didn't have meaning. I was a selfish and self-centered, sick person, right? Like there wasn't much going for me. And I think at that point in time, I had to look at it and say, it could be worse. I am alive. I could have been in jail. I could be in an insane asylum. I could be dead. And in those instances, that is where I find that it could be worse is a place to start. If you're not at rock bottom, right? and you're just tired and life is hard for you right now, and when you look out at the world, you're just angry and frustrated, honestly, I would say be grateful that you have eyes to see and that you can be angry, because there are people who don't have that privilege. There are people who don't have the words. There are people who don't have the support to even choose to be angry, right?
Sure.
We often forget that there are things that happen in our lives that give us the capacity. You know, I don't have a very tight, strong family. And something that always comes up in my personal relationships is that I often attract people that have families that are intact. I don't know if they're healthy, but they're intact. And something that I notice is that I have never had the opportunity to give up, right? There was no net for me. My mom died in 2005, and that was it. Like, there was no more net. There was no more safety. Nobody's going to do this for me. I couldn't just be so sad that I laid down and I didn't get up. My life did not stop. Life did not stop for me. And I find that sometimes, even when I'm the most jealous and petty of my friends that have family who can actually shut down and just be like, I can't go on, you know, when I see it, right? Because I get so furious. I'm like, yeah, you can. This isn't going to kill you. What is happening?
Correct.
I am grateful that they can have it.
Yes.
I find, like, I switch my jealousy around. And this is beautiful. Like, especially if you're in that self-centered focus where I'm not much, but I'm all I'm thinking about, you know, it's my anger, it's my frustration, it doesn't appeal to me. When I can look at other people and say, I'm grateful that you can feel so confident in yourself that you can make those decisions, that you can express yourself in this way. Like,
I love that. So I haven't thought of this before. I love it's almost like a transference of gratitude.
mm-hmm.
I love that concept, because if that's where you need to start, that's a good place to start. I think people also get, there's an emotion or emotional side to gratitude. I know I personally get it. And anybody who's afraid of sharing emotion or feeling or expressing emotion tends to shy away. Because when I think about all of the things I'm blessed with, I get choked up. If I really speak them, that's the other thing. Speaking it is so powerful. It's just, but people have a hard time saying, I can't tell you how many people I tell I love them, and I know they want to say it back, and they are just, it is a struggle. Well, guess what? I'm still going to keep saying it. But I think it's the same way with gratitude. It's emotional. So then if you're grateful for this, all of a sudden you're like, well, crap, I have a lot to be grateful for. And then you begin to think of the amazing things that you really do have in your life, or at least that you are here with us. But I think people push back. So what can people do? Can we, should we all have a gratitude circle? Should we have gratitude? You mentioned it. We have gratitude partners. Should we have accountability? I think people they get caught up, Kendra, in the logistics and the semantics of it rather than just expressing it.
And I feel like there's also that as an option, right? Like, I remember it was like women's, I don't know, a month of women, whatever that month was last year. There was an old colleague from Rollins. Every day of the month, she sent a message or a post where she called out a woman who influenced her life in some capacity, right? Even doing things like that, you can write it down. You can send somebody a text message, right? And you can say things like, start them out to make them meaningful and to make it, and by meaningful, I mean emotional. I want it to be vulnerable. I want you to feel the full breadth and impact of saying, you know, I'm comfortable in my life, or I'm able to go to school because, or I'm able to provide for my family because of you and because of what you've done for me, right? Speaking your gratitude to another person and letting them know their influence in your life, it serves both of you. Not only do you get to have that expression and that vulnerability, but you just don't know the impact that you have in people's lives until they tell you sometimes.
Yes.
You know, this is what I do for a living. But if I get a text message from somebody who tells me that their lives are changed, I still cry like every time it happens.
Of course you do, but what a power. I love what you just said, and I know we're getting to the end of time, but I want to really focus on that because it is cathartic for both of you.
Yes.
There is something powerful about the spoken word, whatever you believe, faith, universe, whatever your particular thing is. I'm a big believer that to speak it into for it to come, you have to, sometimes speaking it is the most powerful way for positive things to happen. But we're taught not to express some of that stuff. And so people have a hard time with the vulnerability versus, okay, I'm not really supposed to say my piece. Wow, I don't know do I want to say thank you out loud? What's that going to make me look like in front of people? I can tell you personally that it is so cathartic and healing and wonderful to be able to express that to another human being.
You know, another exercise, if folks really wanted to practice the vulnerability piece.
Tough word.
If you would list out the good things in your life, your family, the fact that you could still work, you have a roof over your head, you were the first in your family to graduate college, you know, somebody took you in and was a mentor to you at work, right? Whatever your thing is, whatever the good things that you think exist in your life, find one person who contributed to your efforts in any way, financially, emotionally, spiritually, high-fiving, cheerleading, you know what I mean? The person you cheated on for your final exam, like whatever. Find somebody who contributed to it.
Yes.
And a lot of people, Ted, would prefer to write it down, right? A lot of people find it more comforting to actually formulate the words, structure it in such a way, and then deliver it. I would say write it down, get it out of your head. And if you're willing, and you can ask anybody who's done any sort of live gratitude training with me, they write it down. And then I ask them to call the person that they wrote to.
Absolutely.
And it is a powerful, powerful experience. There's no dry eyes anywhere.
I'm getting choked up thinking about it. I just feel like gratitude is such a releasing, there's so much release and positivity that it brings into the world, into your soul and your spirit. It's just, there's so much good. There's nothing but good in it. And so there is the universe, the world, God, faith, whatever it is, it has no choice but to respond to it. And so you have to speak it. I feel like speaking it is just critical. All right. I don't want to go ahead. You wrap it up for us.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to say one last thing. We talk a lot about in positive psychology, something called the Tetris effect, which is based on a study where college kids played Tetris. And then later on, when they surveyed the students, they asked, what did you notice was different? And the students would say, like, when I was driving down the road, I would see the horizon and think if I could fold it on top of itself, it would make a solid line, like in Tetris. Or like at the cereal aisle, they would see the cereal boxes and think if I could turn the Wheaties on its side, I could make a perfect line, like in Tetris. And what they found from this study is that what we focus on the most in our minds is what we see in the world. If you decide that you're going to buy a blue Prius, what do you see everywhere?
True. Absolutely
you see a blue damn Prius everywhere you look. And you thought it was a unique car. You thought you had never seen one before. And they're everywhere. And I think that when we talk about the practice of gratitude and even the way you experience gratitude, like you're very, very expressive when it comes to the value of gratitude for you. I think that is the byproduct of your past, right? Like when we come from a dark place, we are grateful. We recognize that happiness isn't a given. We are not owed.
Correct. You're absolutely correct.
Chosen and built and intentional. And I think that contributes greatly to you. But I think for the rest of us, if it doesn't come from that place for you, that's okay too.
Yeah.
What it can be is that it's a mind hack. You focus on the things that make your life good, the things that are beautiful, the things that are meaningful, the things that contribute to the goodness in your life, your accomplishments, whatever those look like, however you define success. When you focus on that, you are going to see more of it in the world. It will begin to affect your daily life. It'll change the way you talk and interact with people and the way you see your children and your partners and your friends and your coworkers. It will change everything.
Agreed. All right. I love this. I'm grateful for you. Incredibly grateful. Thank you so much for sharing all of your insights, your love, support, gratitude. You all reach out to Kendra Davies, stellarlifecoaching.com. You can find her on any social media platform. I've tagged her. This is one of our most popular segments with you. So people are really wanting to learn and grow. And gratitude, I'm telling you, figure out how to practice it. If you don't know how, reach out to Kendra, because it is critical. All right. Love you to pieces. Thank you so much, Kendra Davies, stellarlifecoaching.com. We'll be back next week with the one and only Kendra Davies. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.